This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
But, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
Inflation in the U.S. is now at 6.5% higher in December compared to a year ago.
A state of emergency at the Texas border.
We turn to the other news this Sunday night and to the somber homecoming for the 13 brave Americans killed in Thursday's attack at the Kabul airport.
You're a golfer.
Yeah.
Why don't you just play golf? Why would you want to give up a great life and go back to that hellhole?
Because I love the country.
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
Break ground on a new section of wall along the U.S.-Mexico border.
We have seen month after month of solid job growth.
And we are going to make our country great again. But you are going to be so proud of your country, because we're going to turn it around. I told them I've got to come over and see the fake news. Let's go. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. I will fight for you with every breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down. My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun.
Be advised, the president is now.
Level of support that we have, I don't think we've never seen anything like it. Bigger than 2016, bigger than 2020. I think we can say that, right? I think we can say it. Bigger than 2016. I've never seen anything like it, because they see how grossly incompetent these people are that are running our country. They're running it into the ground. We're not going to have a country pretty soon the way they're going. But we're going to win the South, and we're going to win South Carolina. We start that. That'll be next. And we're way up where we have a former governor, Bird Brain. We have, remember, I will not ever run against our president. He was the greatest president of our lifetime. I will not run. That was Nikki. I will not run against him. 3 months later, I've decided to run. Bird Brain. And Tim, who's a good guy, Tim Scott, is running. And yet, despite that, we're up 54 points. Can you imagine that? 54 in South Carolina with a great governor. We have a great governor there. Henry McMaster, he was supportive of me right from the beginning. In fact, I thought Nikki would be, and I got the best. I got a man who's been a fantastic governor of South Carolina, Henry. We're going to win a lot of other things in a lot of other states, and then we come down to Florida, where we're leading numbers nobody can believe. We're leading by 58 points. 58 points. You know, when you get somebody elected, you don't run. You just say, no, I'll wait for another 4 years. I'll wait. And it's a thing called loyalty. And all of my people backstage, they said, sir, nobody cares about loyalty in politics. I said, I think they do. And he came to me, Ron, he came to me, sir, he was at 3%. Think of it, 3%. And the Secretary of Agriculture, Adam Putnam, nice guy, but I didn't know him. He was at 44%. Other than that, it was a very close race. Adam Putnam had $32 million. Ron had 32 cents. He had nothing. I said, Ron, if I was George Washington or Abraham Lincoln and I came back from the dead and I combined, I couldn't get you elected. You're finished, man. It's not working. 3%. He said, sir, you're very popular in Florida. If you endorse me, I think I can win. And I didn't know Adam Putnam, so I said, what the hell? Let's just do it. I took a little flyer, then I endorsed him. He went up 71 points in one day, and then he won the primary, and then I held rallies because the hottest politician in the country happened to be, as you know, he turned out to be a crackhead, but these are minor details. He was the hottest in the whole country. It was Stacey Abrams, female, and this young gentleman. And Ron said, I won't be able to beat him. I said, you will, because we'll do rallies. We'll do a couple of rallies for you. We did. We had unbelievable crowds turn out. I said, you're going to win. He said, I don't think so. And he won. He won. Then 4 years later, they said, will you run against the president? And he said, I have no comment. I said, no comment. You know what that means, Sue and Larry? That means yes. So we hit him very hard. People said, please don't hit him, sir. He's a Republican. I said, I don't care if he's a Republican. We're going to hit him. And he didn't have a lot of political skill, to put it mildly. And now he's falling, like I said the other day, falling like a very badly injured bird from the sky. And in one state, he's actually in 5th place. He's in 5th place. This has not been a good situation. I think he blew it in 4 years. You never know what's going to happen. But in 28, I don't see it happening. I don't see it. But I can never forget, because that's great disloyalty. I have others that were disloyal. Most are great. But we have some other people. One happens to be a governor of another state, not too far away. And, you get these guys elected, and then they say, I'll run against them. And we don't like that. I don't think the room here likes that, do they? Huh? I don't think so. But he started off hot. He was losing by a lot. And, we got more votes, by 1.2 million votes, than he did. I don't know. Nobody ever talks about that. We got, in fact, Gina, you mentioned it to me, we got 1.2 million more votes than Ron DeSanctimonious in the state of Florida. And nobody ever says that. The press, the fake news, that's a lot of fake news back there. But they never say that. The only way they'll do it is if I say it. You might as well say it yourself, because they're never going to say it. Next November, we're going to win the White House. It's going to be one of the greatest triumphs in the history of politics. Making America great again will begin with making America strong again and making America safe again. Under my leadership, the world was peaceful and calm because America was respected. The president was respected. I dealt with the strongest people in the world. They were smart. They were streetwise. They respected me. I respected them. They had different viewpoints. That's certainly true. But they were afraid of America. Today, they laugh at our country. They laugh. With crooked Joe Biden, you have chaos, bloodshed, war, terror, and death. Look what's happening today. Because the occupant of the White House is a laughingstock. All over the world, America's enemies cannot believe how lucky they got. They got real lucky. Every monster, villain, dictator, and terrorist, and there are plenty of them. I know most of them. I got to know a lot of them. All over the planet, they're having a field day because they know they will never have it better than they do with Crooked Joe, who in many cases receive money from those countries. I wonder what that's all about. Do you remember during the debate with Chris Wallace, how's he doing? He's not doing too well. I said, I want to ask him a question. What is it? How come he received $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? He got $3.5 million. I flew to Iraq and I met the generals that were in charge, that I put in charge, and they said, sir, I think we could do it in about 4 weeks. I said, really? Everyone else is saying 3 years and maybe we can't do it. Sir, we'll have time left over. 4 weeks, sir. And they did it. They knocked the hell out of him. We killed the founder of the ISIS movement, al-Baghdadi. Remember al-Baghdadi, the biggest of them all? And then we terminated the world's top terrorist, the Iranian butcher, Soleimani. You remember that, the Iranian butcher? He is the one that they call him the father of the roadside bomb. When you see a soldier walking around, a person walking around with no legs, no arms, or a face that's been absolutely obliterated, it was Soleimani that did it. He was responsible for about 94% of the bombs that were made in Iran. I withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal and imposed the toughest ever sanctions on the murderous Iranian regime. They'd never had it so bad. We decimated their finance and choked off the money to pay to the terrorist thugs. And look what happened now. I was also proud to be the best friend Israel has ever had in the White House by far. And if the election wasn't rigged, there would be nobody even thinking about going into Israel. Under my leadership, Iran was weak and broke and desperate for love. They wanted love. They were weak and they were broke. And now they're rich as hell. They got hundreds of billions of dollars. And you have a whole new country, and they're probably 90 days away from having a nuclear weapon. And we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who can't put two sentences together. And he's the one that's leading our nation in talks. In fact, until just a little while ago, he was getting absolutely decimated. He never even mentioned the word Iran in any of his talks. Didn't want to talk about it. But nobody under me was allowed to buy oil. I told China, they were the biggest purchaser of oil in Iran. I said, if you buy oil, any oil from Iran, we're never doing business. You have all the stuff that you take out of this country and rip us off. We're not going to do any more business with China. They stopped immediately. No more oil. I said it to India. I said it to many different countries. And they went way down, way down. And they had no money. And they wanted to talk. And they wouldn't have done anything. Just like Russia wouldn't have done anything. For two reasons. I said, Putin, you're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. I got along with him very good. You know, I actually got along with the tough guys the best. The weak people I didn't get along with. It's sort of a weird deal. But I got along with them very well, actually. But I said, you can't do it, Vladimir. You can't do it. It was the apple of his eye. But he never did, and he wouldn't have done it. I said, don't do it. But you know what happened when oil went to $100 a barrel? And by the way, it's right there right now. Think of it. Biden wants to stop the war with Ukraine, and yet he's created a mess for oil that's so much that Russia will be the first country to ever make a fortune, because once it gets above $60 to $70 a barrel, we're hitting 100 now, and we're going to probably hit $115 a barrel. He still wouldn't have done it. Even if that happened, that would never have happened with us. We were at $40 a barrel. We had, think of it, we had $1.87 a gallon for gasoline. Today you have $5, $6, and $7. Now a terrible precedent was set. You know, when you start paying for hostages, I got back 58 hostages, including from North Korea, which is tough. We never had to pay a dime, because if you have to pay for hostages, the precedent is set. And now we paid $6 billion for 5 hostages. Remember what they say, the number one phrase out there. And again, I mean, you can look at it. The fake news looks at it. Oh, they're trying to prove me wrong so much. Trump was right about everything. They even have a hat that says Trump was right about everything. And I don't make the hat. And unfortunately, we're the most corrupt and incompetent president in our history. We're closer to World War III than anyone can understand. There's never been a time where we've been closer. We're inches away, and we have a man that literally can't speak. He can't get off a stage. The other day, he tried to get off a stage. Now, look, I'm up here now. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of television going crazy. There's so much. I'm up here. But, you know, when I'm finished, I'm going to look over there. I'm going to see an exit. I'm going to look over there. I can take that one, that one. And what I can't do is walk through the back wall. Then he turned her. Did you see the other day? Thank you. You know what happens after about 20 minutes, the stuff that he's taking wears off, so it gets really big. Gets a little groggy. Gets a little bit groggy. They say, get him off the stage. That shit's wearing off, man. Get him off. No. And I'm sure that the cocaine that they found in the White House, that nobody, I'm sure, I feel certain it had nothing to do with Hunter and Joe, by the way. Here, Dad, have a little of this stuff. It's going to liven you up a little bit. Can you imagine they found a stash that you wouldn't believe, and nobody laid claim to it? That was forgotten, just like the laptop from hell was left at the office, right? He didn't want to pick it up. Wouldn't it have been great if he went to that shop and he said, I'd like my laptop, please? Be a different world, wouldn't it? Huh? They have every single crime listed. You know, the father said, son, Hunter, I love you very much. What's on the laptop? Is there anything bad? What's on? Dad, I hate to say this, every single crime that we've committed is on the laptop. I don't have that with this guy right here, with Eric. The $6 billion was a tremendous amount of money, but nothing compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars that Biden allowed them to make in oil and other things. Hundreds of billions. They became a rich nation in 3 years. That's why they're doing this. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. They had no money. They were broke. And then there was the inevitable attack 4 days later, which I predicted. And then 2 nights ago, I read all of Biden's security people. Can you imagine? National defense people. And they said, gee, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack from the north, because that's the most vulnerable spot. I said, wait a minute. You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. You know, I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said, he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk, you would attack from the north, because he said that's our weak spot. Whoever heard of officials saying on television that they hope the enemy doesn't attack in a certain area? Now, unless it's a con job. But you know what a con job is? You're waiting there ready. You want them if you want them, but they weren't ready. They weren't ready. You know, say what you want. Israel was not ready. This was a big surprise. This was a terrible thing that happened. They weren't ready. But if you wanted them to attack because you've got 1 million people there with guns and you're going to blast the hell, then you do exactly, but they didn't have that. And when you look at the death, I mean, hundreds of Israeli soldiers are dead. Hundreds of people in their homes, they were attacked. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody thought it was possible. And so they're going to have to step up their game, and the United States is going to have to step up its game, because we're really led by the wrong people. We're led by people that don't know what's happening, and they don't know how to lead, and they're not respected, and it's a very hard thing. But it could ultimately lead to World War III. A man who shouldn't be in that position could very well lead us into World War III, and this is weaponry, the likes of which nobody in this room can even imagine. Weaponry that's so powerful that it's the obliteration of the world. It could be the obliteration of the world. And we need our best, and we need our brightest, we need our smartest. We have, I think, absolutely the absolute worst. You know, Joe, if you go back 30 years, was considered a dummy. He was considered a dummy, a glad hand. He was considered a glad hand. And Ted Kennedy, believe it or not, was a friend of mine. I met him through Palm Beach. They had a big house, a compound. They call it the Kennedy compound. And I had a very nice house also. But I got to know him very well, and he liked me. And I one time asked him, who's the smartest guy in the U.S. Senate? He was a smart guy, by the way, Ted Kennedy, very smart, great politician. And I said, who's the smartest guy in the Senate? We were friends. I did him a big favor, I will tell you that. Big favor, really big. And it wasn't hard for me to do, but it was very big and important for him. And he liked me, and I liked him. I said, who's the smartest in the Senate? And he gave me a name, but I won't tell you, because I can't stand the guy, actually. Still around. Can't stand him. I was disappointed to hear that name. I said, who's the dumbest in the Senate? He goes, I don't know, let's see. Probably Joe. I said, who's Joe? He said, Joe Biden. Can you, this is 25, 30 years ago, a long time ago. I think it was one of the early times I've ever heard the name. And that was in prime time for him, but this is in prime time. Joe gave us the war on Israel and the war on American energy. What he did to our energy was we were energy independent. Think of it, as president, I will shut off Iranian oil and I will turn on American oil, and we will drill, baby, drill, and we'll get things back to where they are supposed to be. And in addition, I will immediately begin the process of building a state-of-the-art missile defense shield in America. We need a missile defense shield because we have people out there that are bad people. And, you know, it was our technology. And if you look at Israel, it wouldn't even exist if they didn't have that. It's amazing how incredible they are, Dan Scavino, don't you think? Dan Scavino, ladies and gentlemen, the most powerful man in politics. Stand up. Most powerful man. And all of his friends, they are great. I could go to Madison Avenue, pay millions of dollars, and they don't have near the talent that Dan and DC Drano and you, the libs, you. Holy mackerel, what a group of geniuses they are. I go to say, sir, we want $1 million for that campaign or more. And they'd show me a campaign that's so bad. These guys, I'll tell you, look at my man there. Stand up. Most powerful man. Come here, stand up. Not you, Bruce. I'll tell you, they come up with things, DC. They come up with things that are just absolutely incredible. Nobody can do it. I put a lot of them out. I put them out on Truth. I hope everybody's on Truth, because truth is where it's at. Truth is where it's at. We had no problems. Think of it, for 4 years, I would never talk about it during the term. I'd say, we went 3 years, we have no problem. The last thing I want to do is say, oh, we went 3 years, and then something horrible happens, a World Trade Center tragedy or something. We had no problems. We were tough, and we kept them out. We don't want our people killed. We don't want our shopping centers blown up. We don't want the problems that some people bring. You take a look at what's happening in other countries. When we get back in, I will immediately reimpose the Trump travel ban on entry from terrorist countries. And we will make it even stronger, although it can't get a hell of a lot stronger, I'll be honest. It was very strong. I took a lot of heat over that one. That's not nice. Yeah, that's not nice. Well, blowing up our shopping centers isn't nice either. Upon my inauguration, we will quickly seal the border and terminate every open borders policy of crooked Joe Biden. And we will carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. It's amazing how the microphone got so much better. That sometimes you have to shake people up. But that includes getting all of the illegal aliens from countries that hate us, that hate our values, and sending them back to the places from which they came. We'll send them back. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Instead of keeping terrorists and terrorist sympathizers out of America, the Biden administration is inviting them in. You know why? Because he's got a boss. Who's his boss? Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein. Barack Hussein Obama. Remember the great Rush Limbaugh? Barack Hussein Obama. Here you go, Barack Hussein Obama. Hello, Lee. Unbelievably, the corrupt Biden Department of Justice recently invited an Iranian-backed judge from Iraq to visit our nation's capital. Isn't that nice? He couldn't have been too impressed with our capital. It looks like shit. No, have you seen what they've done to it? And we're doing a federal takeover of our capital. We're going to put it back into condition. We're going to stop the murders that are happening every day. We're going to stop all of the murders, all of the crime. We're going to polish it up. We're going to put in brand new limestone where the limestone's been destroyed. We're going to make that capital the most beautiful capital again in the world. Even though I'm being tried for something, I haven't figured that one out. I don't even. Oh, they're trying me because I said something about the election, I think. They want to say that, well, first of all, that's an easy one to win because that was the most corrupt election, and we have such proof of it. But they're trying me. And the jury comes from Washington, D.C., and I want to do a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. to stop the crime and to make it great again, to make it magnificent again. I used to do it in real estate very well, and this is just a large real estate deal. We want to make it gorgeous again. You look and you have graffiti on those beautiful marble columns, and you have tents all over the place. You have tents, and the homeless, we got to take care of the homeless, but they can't do it there. They can't be in our beautiful parks. The foreign judge issued a warrant for my arrest for blowing up the #1 terrorist in the world, Soleimani. So he came in, he was invited by this incompetent president, please come in, and he ended up issuing an arrest for they want to arrest me because I killed the #1 terrorist in the world. What I do for you people, you have no idea. You think it's easy? You think it's easy when I call up our great First Lady and I say, First Lady, darling, how are you? Listen, I'm going to be indicted today at 5 o'clock. Oh. And she looks at me, she says, again? How many times can that? Or I call up this great young man right over here and his wife, and I say, Laura, Eric, I got a little bad news for you. What is it, Dad? For the fourth time in about 2 minutes, I'm going to be indicted. You know, Alphonse Capone, did anybody ever hear of Al Capone? The greatest of all time, right? The greatest gangster of all time. If you looked at him wrong, he'd kill you. And he'd kill you with his hands. He was a tough guy. He got indicted 1 time. I got indicted 4 times. As you know, crooked Joe Biden and his radical left thugs have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading political opponent, me. Not only leading, I'm beating him by 12 points. Wasn't that great? ABC Washington Post comes out with a poll. They pay like millions of dollars. And it shows Trump's up by 11. Now, normally you put it, Trump's up by 11. Okay, not the worst thing, right? It's good stuff. We all happy. They said Trump's up by... We disavow the poll. We disavow it. They said, ladies and gentlemen, why did they just not issue it? It would have been... They spend so much money on it. But we're up by 11, and they say, we disavow this poll. This poll is not correct. It can't be correct. Oh, my gosh, please don't make it correct. You know why? Because we want to put these people out of business. These are corrupt people. They're horrible people, and they know we're not playing any games. We got rid of Comey. We got rid of a lot of bad people. We got them out. A lot of bad people. We were doing the rest, and then we got hit with COVID, a gift from China. This is high-level election interference. This is all about election interference. I'm up by 11 points. I'm up by 67 points with the sanctimonious, but they don't care about that one. But they want to damage the person that they're running against, because if they can damage him, even a guy like crooked Joe Biden could win. In fact, I called my people. I said, how bad is it? I get indicted. I call them the next morning. How bad is it? Tell me. How bad? They say, sir, you're up 25. I said, what? Say it again. Usually when that happens, you know what they do? They go to the microphone, like within 3 minutes of getting their subpoena and their indictment. They go to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going back to my family where I will fight for the rest of my life to clear my name. To hell with that. You know I'm innocent. And that's the nice thing. These are made up. I call them Biden indictments. They're not indictments. They're Biden indictments. These are crooked people. I did that mugshot for Atlanta, and they also control the local AGs, and they control the DAs. I'm pleased to report that the latest poll in Florida, we're crushing them by numbers that you wouldn't even believe. We had one poll that reported so much that we can't really give you a number. That's pretty good. That's a lot. But while DeSantis has been flying around the country setting fire to his reputation and destroying the reputation, frankly, of Florida, all he's doing is campaigning. You know, when Chris Christie did that, they threw him out of New Jersey. Chris Christie, it is another beauty, Trump derangement syndrome. He's got a major case of, what are you going to do for the country? I don't like Donald Trump. I don't. You know why he doesn't like me? Because I never gave him a job. That's why I didn't like, because I never trusted him. I don't like Donald Trump. No, he's got Trump derangement syndrome at a level that nobody's ever seen before. He could be worse than Biden. But Florida's in the midst of an insurance crisis like never before. And this guy's flying around wasting his time because you know what? When you're at a level of 9, 8, and now you're in 3rd place and 4th place, and in one case he's in 5th place in one particular place. He's in 5th place. You got to be back here fixing the insurance because the insurance is a real problem in Florida. Insurers are fleeing. You're paying sky-high rates. Seniors are getting squeezed, and families and businesses are being forced to leave your state. They're leaving. Insurance costs have more than doubled under Ron DeSanctimonious while he's raised millions and millions of dollars from insurance companies. So he gets money from the insurance companies that he's supposed to be watching so he can run for president and make a fool out of himself because he's got no talent. He's got no skill. You know, one thing about running, you do need a little bit of a personality. And he's got no skill. It's been a terrible thing to watch. Actually, I love it. Now Florida families are getting clobbered while he's off in his failing campaign. But it's a failing campaign for all of them. They ought to stop, have another debate. They're doing one more debate. Let them have the debate. Nobody's going to watch it. And then they ought to get together, and we got to beat Joe Biden and these people. I mean, it's enough already. And it's time for Ron DeSantis to hang it up. You know, it's very interesting. Branding is a beautiful thing, proper branding. And the other day he's being interviewed by, I think, NBC, very straight interview. And the announcer goes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have Governor Ron DeSantis with us. My name's DeSantis. They didn't play that. My name's DeSantis. They called him Ron DeSantis. I said, am I a good brander? I'm a pretty good brander. It's pretty crazy. We get back here, we have to take care of the people of Florida and their insurance and other problems who are really being neglected. You have a governor that's never in the state. He's up in Iowa. He's at all sorts. He's in New Hampshire. He goes to South Carolina where he's not even registered. He doesn't even register in the polls. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars attacking me and the MAGA movement, all of the money DeSantis is wasting should instead be used to defeat crooked Joe Biden next November. It should be used. They let him take a shot in 28. I don't think it's going to happen. And the crooked Attorney General of New York, she's a real beauty. Letitia James, I call her Letitia. Letitia Peekaboo James. Peekaboo James. No, they used a statute that's never been used before. And this statute is so horrible. It's actually meant for totally different things and never used. And under the statute, you don't get a jury trial. Can you imagine? So I'll have a politician, Democrat, who's a judge. I sort of like him, but I don't think I probably will after the trial is over. But can you imagine that? You don't get a jury. This is communist Russia. This is a communist China. Nobody's ever heard of a thing like this. We don't get a jury. It's unthinkable. But they use this one little statute hidden away where I don't get a jury, I don't get anything. But the good news is we have such a strong case, and maybe the judge will be straight. Otherwise, I really do believe they'll overturn it. You know, we've won a lot of appeals on that case, and it's very interesting. But I have to go through this stuff. And let me tell you, if I weren't running, or if I was in 5th place, or 6th place, or 4th place, none of this would be happening. I wouldn't have been indicted 4 times or 1 time, and I wouldn't be sued all over the place for anything. Anything we can do, let's sue them. If I weren't running, or if I was doing poorly, I would have absolutely no litigation. But when you're beating the so-called, I say so-called President of the United States, when you're beating him by so much, and when you're beating all of these Republicans, they're angry too. You know, they do things that you never know. But you have governors, senators, you have all these people running. And but if I wasn't doing that, if I wasn't going to try and help you and straighten out this country, I didn't need this. I had a very nice life. You can ask the great Eric Trump. I had a very nice life, beautiful places I could go, have a good time, nice. Instead, I sit in courtrooms and campaign, but I sort of love it because we're doing something. We're saving our country. It's so much more important. We're saving our country. We're saving our country, and I love doing it. I love doing it. People ask me 2 questions. Sir, could I ask you a question? You know, what's your question? How do you take it? How do I take what? How do you take it? They indict you every time you go on television. They indict you. They indict you for nothing. I mean, you see these indictments. Many of them are just, the illegal scholars like Greg Jarrett, who's so fantastic, and so many others. They've been writing these incredible things that there's no case. There's literally no case. The DA in Manhattan, they say there's no case. Even if he was guilty, there's no case. And these charges with this Fannie, whatever her name is, in Atlanta, where they wanted to take down senators, they wanted to take down Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York. So sad to see it. It's become weaponized, and it's a very dangerous thing because, you know, it works two ways. The Republicans can do that too. It's a very dangerous thing to do. Nobody thought it would be possible, but never forget our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who can truly stop them. If we don't win this election, our country, I think, is finished. I really do. Remember, I used to say all the time, we will not become a socialist country. We will never become a socialist country. And I was right. We skipped socialism. We went down to communism. We never became a socialist country. At least I was right about that. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. I'm not going to let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way. It's my honor to do so. Thank you.